Welcome to the Journey Together with Joshua and Anna Gresham.
We hope you're having a great day.
It's an amazing day. We're talking about security in marriage.
Okay, this is a big topic.
It's a huge topic.
And we're going to talk about practical areas that Joshua, that you and I deal with to help build security in one another within our marriage. Things that we do, which I'm excited to talk about because you should feel secure in your relationships. Ultimately, we know security comes from the Lord. And
Absolutely. You got to know your identity.
Yeah, how valuable is that to you?
It's extremely valuable because that's where I find out who I am, why I am, and I have comfort in that. And when I'm doing what He's called me to do, then I've got that security of confidence. So when my wife knows this, and I know that about her as well, then there's this stable foundation that we can work from.
Yeah, and we all deal with insecurities. And I think it's knowing I can take that to the Lord, get into the Word of God, and truly find out who I am in Christ Jesus. And when I do that, then I'm building myself up in Him, and I'm going to love you greater.
Yeah.
Because I'm not searching for security from you. I'm not searching for these things from you. Not that you don't need to give it to me as my spouse, but you are not my primary source.
Correct.
Okay. Funny story when we first got married.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about it?
I don't know.
You were out of town, and I thought someone was shooting at our house. All right, let's talk about a funny security story. This will be our icebreaker for today. You love this story.
I wasn't out of town. I think I was at the church working late.
Okay, we were newlyweds, and I thought someone was shooting at our house. It sounded just like rapid fire.
Let me tell you, where we lived at the time was not a shooter-up type of neighborhood. All right? Okay.
Joshua was not available. So I was not feeling security from you at that moment in my life. And I called my dad. My dad came to my house, our home, with some kind of weird, like, stick thing that you can...
Like a baseball bat?
No, I don't know what it was.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyway,
I didn't know that part.
He walked around the perimeter of the home.
Which was extremely small.
Made sure that I was safe and secure so that I could feel that security. So you come home, you were not happy that I called my dad.
Right. I don't even think you gave me a chance.
I did. You weren't available.
Because the problem is, the premise of this is I grew up in the woods of West by God, Virginia, where there was literally nothing out there in the world. And when you heard a bump in the night, you just kind of like, meh, big deal.
Okay. A neighbor shot fireworks at our home is what it was.
Not at our home, in
100%.
the sky above our home.
Fireworks at our home in our backyard.
No one shoots fireworks at home.
But I remember this being one of our first marriage conversations.
Yes, it was
about security.
Yeah. It was important.
Because I told you, I said, I need to feel secure and that you're going to be here because I was scared. I didn't like being home by myself. It was late.
Right.
And if you aren't available, then my dad is. We had to work through the balance of what that looked like.
And now I know.
In the beginning of a marriage.
Right. So there's more to, so jumping from that, as Anna gives a great illustration of where I should have been a better husband. A lot of people think of trust or security in kind of like a smaller scale of things. And those things are, you learn that kind of stuff in your dating time. And those things are like, farting and burping in front of someone.
Wow.
It's the trust. It's like, oh yeah, can you fart in front of them yet? It's one of those deals. I mean, we've asked our own children this, have you farted in front of her? And, it's just silliness. Those are kind of like basic things. And a lot of times people almost leave it there. I believe that it's kind of like, yeah, I can do this in front of them and they're normal. And you're like, but there's more to that. There's more than just the bodily sounds and noises you make. There's a sense of as Anna points out in that illustration of my lack of duties as a husband.
We just got married.
I
I'm
know.
not throwing you under the bus.
I know.
We just got married.
But those moments you take note of and you go, all right, I know what I need to do to confirm that I should be the first call, the only call, and that I will be there for her. And those moments build and build and build. And that's that solid foundation.
Okay, because we're talking with security in marriage, it's having that safe place with your spouse.
Right.
And I want to address a safe place when it comes to conversation, when it comes to, physical intimacy.
Yep.
Conversation, of course, communication, physical intimacy. And then alongside of that, in your spiritual walk, there are so many different areas here, spirit, soul, and body, that we should feel safe with one another.
Yeah.
When it comes to marriage. And that there should not be a hidden side to what your marriage looks like. We know there are no hidden things with God. Even if you feel like you right now have some hidden areas from your spouse, you're not hiding those from God. Mm-mm. He knows. And all you're doing is bringing this type of, I hate to use the word destruction. It's such a heavy word. But I feel like when you hide things from your spouse, then that security's not there. Your spouse knows something's off. You have an unstable foundation. That would be the way. Let's start off there.
Yeah.
Because you've got cracks in your foundation because it's not secure. Because if you're hiding things from God, then you're hiding it from your spouse, then we're going to have some issues in life.
Sure.
So there are foundational areas here that you might need to evaluate as we're walking through this podcast, or even throughout this week, where you go, oh, no, I have been hiding this back. Joshua and I have made a determination that you're my best friend.
Right.
And I'm your best friend.
Right.
And you can get married, start off as best friends, and then before you know it, you grow apart because you've not found that sense of safety with one another.
Sure.
And then you find that in someone else, and that is not our goal for marriage.
No.
No,
you have to be intentional of your time spent with one another, your time spent in communication, as you point out. Communication is being understood and heard all at the same time. So it's not just being heard, it's being understood. So when you're communicating to one another, it can't be one-sided. And when you're developing those communication skills, not only in the peaceful times, but communication skills even in the argumentative times, that's key.
Yeah. Are you a safe place? Do you feel like you can tell your spouse your goals and dreams?
Right.
Or are they going to shoot you down with flaming arrows and make you feel like trash?
I'm always blown away by how people will treat each other. Instead of the security and trust, the opposite of that is contempt.
Yeah.
They treat it of like this dismissal of, oh my God, there they are again. So it's not supportive. There's no security. There's no trust. And there's just this aggravation of conversation. And it's like, oh, here they go again. And they roll their eyes, or it's always sad for me, the way they talk to one another. I hear couples, they undermine the other couple. They'll hurtfully say things to their face. And it's not beneficial.
Well, and it's not secure. It's not founded on the word of God of how you're treating one another.
Right.
Okay. So in our communication, what is an area that just makes you feel safe whenever we talk? That when I talk to you, that helps? Because we've had to work on this. Because I'll talk about myself. I am an interrupter. I interrupt.
What?
I am an interrupter.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. And you know I am. I get excited about the conversation, and I just feel like I want to be a part of it in the middle of it.
That's true. It's true. It's exciting. Nothing wrong with that. But
all right, what do I do, or what can I do to help you feel safe? Let's talk about it in communication.
It's interesting because we talked about doing this podcast, and then I'm like sitting here going, yeah, this is great. This is perfect. Then you put me on the spot to think of things that we do, which I should know and be a part of it already. There's so many things that you do to give me comfort. And let's go small things to large things. So let's start small. You take care of me in a way of you're concerned about my well-being. So if I say this hurts, whatever body part that is, you'll be like, all right, no. And you're all concerned, like, we need to go somewhere. We need to go to the doctor. We need to go. And it's like elevated to sometimes larger than what it needs to be. She'll make the necessary phone calls to make sure.
You put duct tape on your body when you have an injury. So
yes.
it is slightly overwhelming.
Puts it all together.
Okay.
So anyway, those are great moments of security for me. The food aspect, like I got home last night and you were like, okay, I came home late. So it was, let me make this for you. So she reheated it. She worked it all up. And those are those small moments of security that she's telling me non-verbally that she cares for my well-being and all those things. So those are some security things. When we talk about certain aspects of big decision making in life, you have never, ever, and nor have I, we've been really good at this, have never been cross towards one another where they're just wrong.
Yeah, I agree with that. We started off marriage saying we're on the same team. You and I both have team mentalities. I think that has helped us.
Sure.
So I agree that we choose to work through whatever that decision might be. We've had a lot of big decisions in our marriage, so I feel like we do work through that.
Yeah, we don't make it like, it's not this idea of you're wrong and that's it. And then
you mean cut and dry, where like there's no room for conversation.
We don't have anything in our life right now, nor have we ever, that we have hovering over us that, yeah, she believes this, but I believe that. And it's like, no, we're commonly together on all these topics. None of us, there have been moments where you probably should have done that. And you're like, okay, I know that now, or
we strive to come in agreement.
Yeah,
We've worked at it though. I feel like this has taken a lot of work to continue that.
Yeah, we know our triggers.
Okay, do you like that I message you each day? Okay. I like to check on him. If I'm not at church working with you or if I'm out or doing something, I like to text you or call you. Now, we've had conversations where I feel like I have done it and you rush me off the phone because you are so busy. But
right.
Do you enjoy that
I'm task-oriented. So if I'm doing something, it's hard for me to stop the mental game of that and then turn and be like, all right. So right. That's why.
But do you enjoy that I check on you each day?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'll call you, FaceTime you. I always want to see your face. I always like to FaceTime more than I do phone call. Most men don't like phones, to talk on the phone for long periods of time.
Yeah.
So I would rather see your face for, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's typically how I like to call you.
I appreciate that you always give me compliments and you make me feel good about myself. Women are great at saying the craziest things about ourselves that are not true.
I will not give you any illustrations.
But you do a great job when I'm all crazy Anna to bring me back around.
So let's stop real quick. Crazy is far-fetched. That's not. She's being silly, obviously.
I am being silly.
Because there are some couples that we've experienced that are crazy in the sense of like, that is so elaborate, like over the top. That's unnecessary to act like that. So if you're acting like that, let this be the sign. Stop it, because you're making things more difficult, all right? Now, are you being silly crazy? Yes. And that's typical. So to give peace of mind to some of the women that are listening right now, this is common. Us men do talk behind your backs about stuff, not in a way to embarrass you, but we always go, our wives. That's what we always say. Our wives.
If they just knew how lovely they were.
Right. That's what we say all the time.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Yeah. Like this whole idea of constant ups and downs of physical dieting or exercise or whatever is kind of like, we just love you for who you are. So
you do a great job at making me just feel confident in myself with you, especially having 4 kids and nursing 4 kids. I gained a lot of weight with the first 3 pregnancies, 87 pounds our first pregnancy. And Josh goes, do you remember? I tell people this all the time.
No, you can't say that. You can't.
I can't say it.
No, you can't say it.
But
Sorry, all you listeners right now.
You made me feel really good about myself, and I appreciate it. In the middle of all of it, it made
I
me
love
feel
every
good.
size of you.
I know, but that was a security.
Every size of you was beautiful.
So I think, with this communication of security, if we are encouraging one another and being each other's best friend and each other's biggest fan, and not so hard bent that it's my way or the highway or whatever this might be.
Yeah.
That's a huge bonus of having a secure conversation. Now, let's talk about hard topics. When we have been in arguments or we're dealing with things, we have had to work in that secure place of truly listening to each other, not shutting down, not running away. I mean, there are triggers here.
Yeah, and we've had to run away, meaning like, okay, we got to stop. We got to stop. And then we just, it's one of those things of like, we're not getting anywhere with this. And instead of continuing down the hurt path of bringing up things or whatever, then it's stopped and it's going back. And that goes back to finding our identity in the Lord, that we're able to stop and go, all right, let's get clarity on what I'm trying to say. And then there's no hurt involved, and there's an apology because the repentant side of things come up where you get convicted. You're like, okay, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say this about whatever. So.
I know there were a couple of years ago, I felt like we just kept having petty arguments, but the underlying thing was I was dealing with some stuff, walking through a hard season, and I didn't feel like you were listening to me. You didn't feel like, in my mind, that, what, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what you didn't feel like, but I realized, okay, we're going round and around in circles, and we weren't getting anywhere with it. So I went to the Lord, and He told me to fast, and He gave me some specific things to fast and what to do in order to see a breakthrough in my life and to release that to Him. And it was huge. I'm so thankful for the Holy Spirit guiding me and leading me in that moment, because it really had nothing to do with you. It's just the situation we were in, and it was tough, and I was aggravated. So even if you feel like you're going in circles with your spouse right now, take a step back.
Yeah.
Go to God. See what He's asking you to do. Ask for wisdom, liberal amounts of wisdom, so that you can refocus and put your eyes on Jesus and get to that place of security in Him. So then when you come together in conversation, it's going to be far greater than what it could be.
Right. So then moving over into the physical side of things, sometimes just a good squeeze is nice.
Yeah.
And that's important. I made a mistake early in our marriage, which I don't understand. I still, to my knowledge, don't know where I was mentally. But there was this sense of kind of like I was weirded out by PDA or something of the sort. But the
public displays of affection.
But the longer obviously not longer, the more our marriage progressed, the more I was like, I want you to touch me and hold me all the time, everywhere, all of it.
So I think that my personal opinion,
that's one of my largest or biggest regrets of marriage, in our marriage,
was you got really busy with life.
Sure.
And with thinking of just everything else. So around that 10-year mark is when, and I had just came to the place of, well, okay, it changed. And I did take it to the Lord and pray. It's interesting in marriage when you pray for things and then God answers it, you have to be willing to receive it. So I felt like I had been praying for that to change. And then around 10 years is when we had a big marriage conversation, one that really brought security to the both of us of things you were dealing with, things I was dealing with, and we made some changes. Yeah. Security will also mean change. Yeah. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect the same results. You're going to have to be willing to change.
Right.
So you said, hey, I want this. And at that point, we had 4 kids. I feel like I was being touched all the time by them because they're just climbing all over me.
Right.
It was a lot. But I'd been praying for it, and I had to become more affectionate.
Sure.
With you.
Yeah.
Which I wanted, but then it's like we were out of practice of the day-to-day affection. It was hard at first, I think, for both of us.
So sometimes it's as simple as just a nice touch, squeeze,
holding hands,
all those things. The other day I was at a dental procedure, and the nurse put. I was going to be in the chair for a little while, and the nurse put a blood pressure cuff on me, and she said, "I'm so sorry. This is going to get annoying because it's going to periodically kick on during this whole process." And I was like, "Okay, I don't care, whatever." And it was interesting because it was those moments. Actually, I felt the most comforted that the dentist was going at my mouth and all of a sudden the blood pressure cuff would kick on, and I was like, there was like this peace. It was like a comfort. It was like one of those like heavy blankets people buy.
Weighted blankets.
Yeah, the weighted blanket. And I just felt that peace of like, it was like getting my head off of what was happening in my mouth. And I just think in the same way of sometimes a nice squeeze when things are chaotic around and it's coming from someone that's secure, it's nice.
What about for the people that say, I don't like to be touched?
Well, they need to get touchy.
I mean,
they're missing out.
Ask the Lord for help, okay? If your spouse is needing this and you want this to grow, ask him for help.
Yeah.
God created your marriage to flourish.
Yep.
And he wants you to have security and happiness and joy and all those beautiful things. So you're going to have to ask him for help. So I had to ask God for help during that season. We had some tough conversations about it all because I had gotten used to, I'm a reader. I would go on the other end of the couch, read my book while you turned the TV on. And a book for me is like a movie. So it made me happy. And I thought, oh, we're spending time together. Well, we made a decision that, not that I can't read, but when we had time together like that I moved over and I started sitting right beside you and cuddling on the couch. Bring back the old spoon. Y'all used to spoon whenever you dated, all right? Start spooning again.
Yeah.
And become affectionate. Have fun. Play around. Like, enjoy each other.
Right.
Because it's valuable.
Yeah, and then that leads into the intimacy side of things of be spontaneous, have fun. We've had a podcast about this a long time ago, it seems, a few months back, but it's important that you have an intimacy that is shared in a way that it's a beautiful picture that you're pursuing after one another and you're having fun and it's just good.
Are you safe as well for your spouse when it comes to intimacy? That's where you have to talk about your likes and dislikes, what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Where you're at in life, that it's that you have that best friend communication, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
When it comes to intimacy.
Yeah, you need to kiss every day. You need to cuddle every day. You need to hold each other for a long period of time. Anna wants to dance more. She wants me to grab her and dance with her in the kitchen or in the living room. I don't do it enough.
No,
I
have asked for a good slow dance once a week.
Once a week? I don't remember that.
Once a week. I told you this. I want a good slow dance once a week in the kitchen with that one Ed Sheeran song I really like.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what this needs to look like.
All right, I'll make it happen. Mental note.
Thank
check.
you.
All
Okay,
right.
so something else with security when it comes to physical stuff that we do. We know all each other's passcodes on our phones.
So this is the third aspect of security.
Yeah.
Of
Emotional. This would go emotional, right?
I would call it openness.
Okay.
Emotionally open.
Emotionally open. I like that.
It's open in the sense of nothing hidden. There's never a moment. It's always in consciousness of the other one.
Yeah.
So it's, would they approve? Would I approve of this if they were doing this? You know, all of those types of moments. So it's being conscious of your environment, what you're doing, and saying, all right, this is okay. This isn't okay. It's those types of things. And as you were about to say, you know, our security passwords, all of our stuff's completely open to one another. So our iPhones, our laptops, all of those things, you just open them up, begin to look, you can see there's nothing on there. Our preparation time that's the only, sorry, I was going to say, the only thing you're going to find on our laptops is our preparation of sermons and things of that nature.
Right.
So,
but I know our passcodes are the same. I can pick up your phone anytime and you're not like, hey, what are you looking for? You can pick up my phone anytime.
Yeah.
You can scroll through everything that I have.
There's only a few weeks that's not available, and that's between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
When we're purchasing presents.
And it's just, don't look at this, don't look at that. Right. But again, 11 months out of the year is whatever.
If you are on edge about your spouse picking up your phone, I'm concerned. Okay. If you're dealing with, I mean, you guys, this is a no-brainer. And finances, everything's open. We share the same account. It's how we operate. There's security
big purchases,
and finances.
Basically anything outside of groceries, anything over $100 we're talking about.
We clarify and talk with one another. So that way there's emotional openness when
Anything
it comes
over
to
$50 we're talking about.
our finances. When it comes to the opposite sex, you have got to guard your heart and your marriage, okay? This is what this looks like, period.
I don't have friends that are of the opposite sex that you're not aware of, meaning there are both of our friends, like our best friends' spouses and things like that. But I don't text them. I don't have those types of connections, and neither do you. There's not a level of friendship that exceeds what their friendship already is of that person. It's like I'm not closer to this person more than you are. So keeping those healthy boundaries.
If we've had moments where I've said, hey, Josh, I don't like how that woman is around you. I don't feel secure with her. If he were to say, oh, it's no big deal. I'm fine. She's fine. Well, that'd be a red flag for me. As your spouse, you champion each other and you fulfill each other's needs. So if you're having a moment, then you sit down and talk through it and figure out why. And if there are concerns or whatever that might look like, because the enemy will use any avenue he can to try to bring an insecurity, to try to cause strife, to try to cause confusion, whatever that might look like. And we need to have, Joshua and I, we work together. I feel like that has also had to grow with emotional openness because we're together a lot. And I can be slightly overwhelming for him whenever I bring up all of the things and I'm processing and it's just too much and it's overwhelming, and then that's not security for you. I've had to work on that. And then in the same breath, you will sometimes not remember to tell me things, and then I find out later, and then I think, why wasn't I a part of that? And then that's not security for me. So we've had to grow in how we're open with one another. We've had to work on this. We're continually growing and working on this.
Yeah. I'm gonna broad stroke this statement. It's not necessarily true because it goes with both male and female. But for me personally, most males, they internalize a lot of things that are happening. So it's not like when they go home, they're not wanting to sit there and have a slumber party and talk about it all, because they're still just internalizing it, or they're just trying to forget about it. Like they don't want to talk about it anymore. Like they've talked about it enough. There's almost like this cliff of I've done, and I don't want to talk about it, and I don't want to reopen it. And or they've already made a decision on it and they don't really want another opinion because it doesn't involve. If it involves them, they have to have the opinion. But if it doesn't involve, then it's like, just let it go. But anyway, that's typically with men. Women want to talk it out. They want to hear about it. They want to know all the details. They want to have input, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But unfortunately, those two collide, and they're difficult to navigate through.
So you've got to find a happy medium.
Yeah, but it's being aware.
It's a give and take.
Right. It's aware of the difficulty in the navigation because, again, you want to build security and trust with those topics.
Right. And it's worth working on, of walking through. If you find that you are having a hard time being open with your spouse because emotionally you don't trust what's going to take place, my encouragement is take that to the Lord. And then have an honest conversation with your spouse of how you feel. Mm-hmm. And then say, let's sit down and let's work on maybe you pick a day each week that works, or a time that y'all can have coffee together, whatever it might be, that you have that hour time to walk through some different topics that you need to discuss. Yeah. You have a specific time, so that way it's not just 11 o'clock at night, random throughout the day, a random text, okay, that's not bringing security to anybody and then turns into a whole text argument. Nobody wants that. Be intentional with how you sit down and work through this. We actually do have a scripture for today.
Do it.
I have one.
Okay.
Which is kind of a big deal for me, but one is enough. All right. In Ephesians chapter 5, in verse 21, and further submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. This is talking about spirit-guided relationships with husbands and wives. And further, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. When we submit to each other in our reverential fear of God in Christ Jesus, of wanting to honor him and love one another, you can continue to read this. It talks about that relationship. But whenever I do that and whenever you do that, then we are going to find security and enjoyment in our relationship.
Yeah.
Because we want to honor God in everything we say and all that we do, that this isn't about me, this isn't about you, this is about reverence for him.
Yeah, it's good.
And that makes all the difference. That's a great evaluation. Are you submitting to one another when it comes to your conversation in reverence to Christ? Are you constantly bickering and arguing, and you need to check that with the Lord? Are you submitting to one another when it comes to how you operate physically, intimately, in your physical needs towards one another, where it's a safe place, an open environment where you're actually spending time together and building that security? Because intimacy just isn't sex, okay?
Right.
It's actually having I care moments and unto Christ, all right? And are you open, submitting to one another, not hiding things, not being touchy, but recognizing, God, I want to honor you, and I want my spouse to be my best friend, and I'm willing to do what it takes.
Yeah, you got to tear down the walls of sensitivity towards topics or towards one another that basically continues to breed mistrust. And so then the sensitivity needs to be dialed back to go, okay, time out. And then maybe even share that. I'm sensitive about this topic because you haven't been able to give me security or show me trust or security with this particular thing. So it's hard for me to be open. So begin to talk about that. And then the other spouse, when hearing that, needs to be able to say, okay, I hear what you're saying. I'm going to work at it better. And I'm going to be a better listener, a better follow-upper, whatever it is that will bring true security in your marriage.
If Jesus was full of compassion, then we can be full of compassion because he's the greater one living on the inside of us.
Yeah.
And I think of those things often.
Yeah, we should be doing everything in love, and we should be doing everything with the intent. It's a higher intent. And we should always be doing this in a way that's bringing us closer to God, not farther away. So if we're doing things that are causing anger, bitterness, and strife, then we are not on the same team, and we're hurting one another.
Yeah.
So make it happen. All right.
Okay, wait. One thing I'm working on to bring more security to you.
Okay, go.
Is kissing you more.
Yeah.
Okay. Something I think about that I want to grow.
I'll take it.
And more words of affirmation.
Take it.
Okay. That's something.
I plan to dance with you more.
Oh, thank you.
I plan to, man, you put me on the spot. I plan to dance with you more. Because I'm such a good husband. I do all the things so well already.
Oh.
No, I plan to dance with you more. I think that's a huge thing for us. I think we do need to be more intentional for dates. Here, our life's gotten really busy here lately. So
yes.
We haven't gone on a lot of dates lately.
I know. I thought of that this morning, actually.
Date night. Tonight, let's ditch the kids.
Tonight's family night.
What?
It is. I've already put it in motion.
Whatever. All right. Hey, you guys are awesome. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, like, share, do all those fun things. So we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.